signs and synchronicities. What are these, and what do they mean? This is the thing that we talk about a lot. We see a lot of posts about signs in our various spiritual communities. And this, like, what does it mean? This is a common question, you know, when things start to sort of open up, when you start to have this really powerful awakening experience. It's the first thing that we start asking, what does it mean? What does it mean when I keep seeing 1111? I was with a friend today who's very spiritual, and I realized the message I had received earlier today was for him, and I didn't even know that. But I was in my car, about to get out of the car, and Spirit said to me, hang on, wait until 11:11, listen to the radio. So I waited until 11:11. When it turned 11:11, a new song came on the radio, and I was like, okay, great. And it was a cool song, and I liked it, and it was interesting. And I was like, well, I'll put that in my pocket, Spirit, and we'll see what it means later. And then I was with my friend. He said something that was similar to recall the lyrics of the song. And I said to him, do you see 11:11 all the time? That was where I started. And he goes, yeah. Oh, that's so weird that you say that, which is what we say to each other about synchronicities all the time. It's so funny that you say that. It's so weird that you say that, right? It's because of the synchronicity. And I said, well, yeah. I said, but hang on. And then I told him, well, at 11:11 today, Spirit told me to hang on and stay in the car until the song came on, and all I had to do was tell him the name of the song. And he was just like deeply moved because it had to do with someone who was his past loved one. What do the signs mean? And how can we have more? And how do we allow these signs to unfold into real manifestation, to real creations in the physical life? So let me break this down for you. The common signs that we see as we're awakening, and by the way, that doesn't even mean just at the beginning of the awakening experience, that we have several awakenings, we continue to awaken, but when it starts to happen for the first time, it's really surprising. And then when new signs start to show up, that's surprising. We aren't really sure. And the thing about an awakening experience is that we're actually awakening from the confinement of 3D matrix. And it doesn't mean that we're exiting it. It doesn't mean that the 3D is bad, but it does mean that we are awakening from the confinement of it, and we are identifying with our multidimensional aspects, with the fullness of who we are, the eternal nature, the divine nature, with our God essence, with source energy. And so we've been living like this in 3D, and we live like this. And then we go, oh, I'm not just that, I'm all of this. And I'm playing at that. I'm playing at the 3D. And so we now can operate from basically this higher mind or higher perspective. But the thing about being here in the confinement of the 3D is largely unevolved. And what this means is we're limited, right? And that's something that is sort of sold to us, was programmed into us by this unevolved 3D matrix. The 3D matrix tells us that we are incomplete. Well, just in the idea of being confined to only it's really 4 dimensions of who we are, instead of the infinity of who we are, certainly instead of the 12 dimensions of who we are. And by the way, anyone who incarnates on this plane, anyone who becomes a human or an animal actually, the soul that incarnates into that physical form is evolved to at least the 7th dimension, minimum. And how do we know this? Well, you've at least seen a picture of that chakra system, right? The chakra system, those energy centers that are aligned with our body. We actually have more than the ones that are aligned with our body, but the personal chakra system has 7, and those 7 chakras align to 7 dimensions. And so the soul that incarnates into a physical form, in order to be able to inhabit that, has evolved to 7th dimensionality at least. Now, people who are light workers, way showers, star seeds, and all that kind of stuff are likely to have evolved much beyond that. Now, that is the minimum potential of a human or an animal or even a plant in this physical space, because everything has, well, not because everything has a chakra system, but, you know, it is evident in the fact that we all have the same kind of personal chakra system to some degree, the majors at least. Anyway, now, sadly, there are countless, maybe even majority of people who will not awaken past 3 or 4D. And they will live even if they awaken to 4D, meaning that they experience unconditional love in some aspects, and at some times, they still will live mostly in the 3D. Now, that is changing, that is shifting, and you guys are a big part of it. All of us are a big part of it. And that is still just the potential, is that 7th dimensionality. And so when we awaken from the 3D to the limitlessness of the ascension path, then we have all of these experiences that are suddenly brand new. Because like I was saying, in that 3D confinement, we are always asked to place our sovereignty, the authority of ourselves, outside of ourselves. And the reason this happens, honestly, the reason that everyone experiences an awakening is, or not, but everyone must experience an awakening, is because it's just kind of set up that way. So we come in as this pure consciousness into a fragile physical body that is relationally dependent. And somewhere in between there is a mental body, a mental form that is unformed. As a baby, right? As a child. Even like the brain itself, which is the physical instrument that relates to the thinking, so sort of relates to the mind. The mind is non-physical, and it's not only related to the brain, it's also related to it's non-local, the mind is. But anyway, the brain as the physical expression of sort of in contributing to thinking. There are also, like I say, neurites in the heart and in the gut. But the brain and these neurites and the organs and everything, the physical body that is contributing to the thinking, isn't mature until 20, 25, somewhere in there for the human. So we have an underformed mental body. We have a fragile, underformed physical body that requires dependence upon others to stay physically alive, but a pure consciousness. Now, pure consciousness does not immediately mean that you are connected to all of the wisdom of the universe, because you've been funneled into, with the intention, your sole intention is to funnel into a physical form. And so we're kind of putting all these pieces together. As I said in the opening sort of prayer that we did, that we are a triune being, mind, body, and spirit, and we're putting these pieces together. And they're just all different shapes and sizes, and they're like, huh? What? No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so since we are physically, at least, and we are mentally as well, dependent on others, our parents, the caregivers, then it makes perfect sense that we are in this form of the 3D to be placing our authority outside of ourselves. Because it's true, we don't know how to keep ourselves physically alive. And that is the intention of the spirit, of the soul, that comes into a 3D manifestation. A soul that comes into an incarnated 3D experience says, I'm going to commit to the 3D experience. That is the first intention that is actually kind of harder. And so we do that. We bring that infinity self, that endless self, the awareness, and we say, I'm really, really gonna, this is my mission, and we have to bring that focus into the 3D. And so we do that to the point where we have to put on these filters. We have to pass through a veil of amnesia, as we say, so that we do forget to many degrees, if not total, the infinity of ourselves. And for us, right, it's always been a feeling, it's always been a knowing, it's always been and for everyone, I really truly believe there's a knowing, there's a yearning, there's a constant yearning. And that is when people say, I need to find myself, You've been there all along. You've always been your savior, and that self that you're looking for is the limitlessness, the truth of who you are. And so coming into that 3D, we have to commit to it, and then we commit so hard that all we know is there is authority above me. It takes us a long time to grow up, is what I'm saying. But just think about it. If our body and mind is not actually even fully formed until we're possibly 25 years of age, then it makes a lot of sense. Now we've been conditioned. Let's say we possibly could have fended for ourselves by the time we were age 16 or 17. But we're still emotionally inexperienced, and so we need a lot of support. And so there's another place where we're trying to, develop ourselves, and we need support, and so we're placing authority outside of ourselves for that support. So then we must awaken from that and realize that all along, I am the captain. All along, my God essence is the truth of who I am. All along, everything about me, everything that I need is in me. And so what I'm getting to, as this relates to signs, is we pop out of, I'm only 3D and there's an authority above me. We pop out of it to some degree, we awaken, and we realize I'm infinite. I have this connection to source energy, to, light beings who are infinite. I have this connection to spirit, which is not just the confinement of the physical body and the 3D. And when we wake up, then all these things start to show up like signs and synchronicities. And so signs and synchronicities are aligning. They are your alignment.